LaPorta drives it deep left field. Cut this off. It's over. Indians win it 7-6.
Welcome to Fastball and Finance with your host, Matt LaPorta.
Welcome, everybody, to the Fastball and Finance podcast. And today our guest is Aubrey Huff, two-time World Series champion. Aubrey, thanks for joining us on the show. We greatly appreciate it.
You got it. Anything for you, Matt?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So I mentioned just the two-time World Series. Tell us a little bit. Let's jump in there real quick on that part. Tell us a little bit about those two World Series and what they meant to you. And again, yeah, your feelings on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, if people out there listening to follow my career at all, I was kind of a no-name type of player coming up in Tampa. And, you know, we were a perennial dead last place team every single year, not much media saturation at all. And, you know, losing 100 games every year. And I was getting to a point where I was in my sixth year in the big leagues, and we had dead last American League East every year. And I was tired of losing. And then I get traded to the Orioles. Or I'm sorry, I didn't get traded, but I got a free agent deal to the Orioles that next season for a 3-year deal. And what happens then? The Rays get good, and the Orioles. So I go right to last place with the Orioles. So I spent the first 9 years of my career dead last, and I was growing so tired of baseball, and I was really at the point of my life, you know, at the end of my career in Baltimore. I got traded to Detroit for a cup of coffee there towards the end of 2009 season. Did terrible in Detroit. And we missed the playoffs with the Tigers, closest I'd ever been to the playoffs. And I was in that offseason with no job. It was February 2010. Spring training was right around the corner. And I had 0 offers to play baseball again. And in a weird way, I was kind of happy with that. I was like, well, great. I'll just retire and ride off in the sunset and never be heard from again. Yeah. I made some decent money. Never played on a winning team. But, I mean, at the time of my life, I was so tired of baseball because it was just a grind of losing all the time. And then the Giants called. Right about a week before spring training 2010, they'd struck out on Adam LaRoche as a first base option, and I was their second option. I signed for a 1-year, $3 million deal. San Francisco, as you know, is a hitter's nightmare.
Yeah.
Exactly my first choice. But I was desperate, and I took it. And the good Lord works in mysterious ways, my man, and went to San Francisco, had an awesome year there, hit 290, 26 bombs, almost 90 season. Offensively led the team, won a World Series, and I got to tell you, man, I tell people all the time, I would go through those 9 years of hell again to get that one feeling back again.
Wow. You know, it's just such a, I think, a great showing of perseverance, man, and just kind of, that's what the game is. You got to try to find a way to be mentally tough through the long droughts of, you know, maybe not hitting or just being on bad baseball teams for a long while.
Yeah, it's mentally tough. I coach now with my kids, and me and Mike Sweeney of ex-Royal, we're down here in San Diego. We're coaching both of our kids. They're our 9U teams called the Saints. And we tell our kids all the time how much we love baseball, not only because of the game itself, but what it teaches you. Like you said, the perseverance. You know, most of these kids that we coach, I guess none of them will probably make the big leagues. You never know. It might happen, but odds are maybe not going to happen for any of these kids. But what they learn out of baseball, the perseverance, the teamwork, the dedication, the hard work, the grind, which I think a lot of kids in this society we live in today don't know. They don't understand it's to be given to them. And what baseball instills in you is that patience and all these things, that working hard and the failure. I mean, in this world, we fail so often that I think people think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing when you fail, unless you learn something from it.
Yeah.
And, you know, baseball, you learn so much from the failures that you can take the lessons you learn in baseball and apply them to anything else you want to do in this life, whether it's an attorney, accountant, whatever it is you want to do. The life lessons you learn in baseball, you can pass it down to any line of work.
So true. I mean, a mentor of mine, he's an older fella. He's like in his 70s, but he actually owned all the Outbacks in California. He recently sold them, nice little pop. But, we were playing golf one day, and I was like, man, and he played college football at University of Florida. And I was like, hey, what was your mindset after you left school? And because I'm assuming you wanted to go play in the NFL, and you didn't get picked, and you just weren't good enough. He's like, man, I took the same drive and dedication that I had during my athletics, and I just transferred that into business.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't, again, it's one of those things that doesn't work out for everybody like that, where you're making, a couple $100 million, but it can apply and you can still be successful. And whatever it is that you're doing next. What's up, big guy?
Yeah, that's Jace. That's my little guy coming. You just want to see what I'm up to in here.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, right now in my life now, you transition out of baseball, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a grind to transition. That first 3 years for me was hell. And, I finally got to a point in my life where, I found purpose again through coaching my boys and being a family man and supporting my wife in her endeavors. And I've actually started doing some acting, taking acting classes. And
oh yeah. How about that?
Just landed my first movie role for next year.
What movie's that?
It's called Demigods.
Okay.
In 2018. And a director buddy of mine out here he's made 3 movies. One's called The Forger with Josh Hutcherson and Hayden Panettiere.
Okay.
They're young and coming up. And then the second one, his last one was Diablo with Scott Eastwood, Danny Glover, and Walton Goggins. And so next year he put me in a it's not the lead role, but it's a mercenary type role.
Yeah.
Demigods. And so I've been taking acting classes and stuff like that. And what I love about it, it's kind of, I'm starting all over again. It's that drive and dedication that I learned from baseball, right? I have to start from the bottom. Like I'm starting with these small little roles, right? Mm-hmm. I'm shooting, just before Thanksgiving, I'm playing a cop in a small little college short film that I went and auditioned for these college kids. You're starting in the minor leagues again, right?
Yeah.
You work your way up. And I don't know where this is going to go, but it's exciting. And like I said, man, baseball's, if you can handle the pressure that baseball did, the big leagues, you can handle anything. You know? Acting in front of a camera to me, in front of people, it's nothing.
Yeah. I would say, I'm in the mortgage business, and, occasionally you get realtors that get a little testy with you, or you'll get clients that, it's a stressful process. And, but more so the realtors. And I'm like, I tell people, when they get upset or yell or panic, I go, it doesn't bother me. I go, when you've been booed in front of 40,000 people, right, there's not much somebody's going to say or do to me outside of being, beating me up or something that's going to bother me. And so, but yeah, the baseball, I mean, it thickens your skin up really quick.
It does. Yeah. If you don't, you actually have no choice. You either develop thick skin or you just mentally fall apart.
Yep.
Right? And I've experienced that too. And I've gone through mental anxieties and depressions, and, I don't mind talking about it. I think it's so often in this society we live in, people struggle everywhere. I've met countless people since I came out with my anxiety problems. I'm over it all now, but right out of baseball, towards the end of my career, I was struggling mightily with anxiety, where I'd have to pump myself full of 2 Xanax just to get on a plane.
Wow.
And it kind of took me out of my baseball career, and I battled it even outside of my retirement for a couple of years, where I was suicidal.
Yeah.
And through a lot of faith and prayer and my faith in God, I've seen myself, He's seen me through it. God's seen me through it. And,
amen. And
I'm in a place in my life where I'm open about sharing, because I know so many people struggle with it.
Yeah.
And, baseball taught me to have thick skin, but I guarantee you, if I would have had the kind of problems I had with the anxiety and depression without baseball in my life, I probably wouldn't have made it. Probably would have killed myself, because I didn't develop the mental fortitude to get through it. It made me tough. And, I definitely sympathize with people that have gone through that now. I used to think when I played baseball, I'd hear people going through mental problems, anxiety, depression. I thought, man, those kind of people have they're mentally weak people.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle real life. And when I went through it, I realized, man, that it could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And I just want people out there to know that they're not alone in their struggles, because, you know, if somebody at the highest level playing a pro sport can go through it, anybody can go through it. Nobody's immune, but there's always a way out. It never can be too dark to where there's not a way out.
Man, that's great that you share that, and you're so open in sharing that. I know there's a lot of people that probably aren't as open. And, you know, for me, had I heard that, and let's say, I don't remember when I was a freshman in college, right? Had I heard what you just said, I might have thought there might have been even more hope for me. I went through, because I started as a freshman at University of Florida. I didn't start as a freshman, and it crushed me. I mean, a very similar anxiety, failure. I felt like I let my parents down. I mean, and at times, I mean, you know, I did think about suicidal thoughts, right? Where you like, my life is over. I'm never going to be anything. And, you know, and you just want to escape. You want to escape what that reality was right there. And so for you to share that, I think that's huge, man. Because you play college ball. It's hard. Even, you know, kids going to college as a freshman and you think you're top dog, or even minor league ball or big league ball. Like, hey, man, there's a lot of good players out there once you start getting up to those levels. And so, like you said, you're not immune to it. It can happen to anybody. I mean, you know, people would probably look at you and go, how could he have that? He's got 2 World Series. He played, how many years you played? 12 years in the big leagues?
13 years.
You know, and so people got to be like, well, how does that happen with him? You know, and it's because you're not immune to it. Like you said, I mean, it can happen to anybody, and we could, you know, kind of spiral out of control. So I appreciate you sharing that, man. And, you know, I know some of that stuff I think is in your book too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you know, tell us how you got started in baseball.
Yeah. It's a funny story. My father passed away when I was 6 years old. He got murdered when I was 6 years old in Mineral Wells, Texas. Got a call one day. Some random crazy man. My dad was trying to break up a domestic dispute. This guy and his wife were arguing. My dad was an electrician, walks into this office building and apartment complex, and tries to diffuse the situation. The guy gets an attitude, points the gun at my dad. My dad kind of fires it, shoves it out of the way. Another lady jumps out. He shoots this lady, kills her. Shoots his wife. Is about to shoot another lady. My dad pushes her out of the way, saves her life, and then the guy turns and hits him in the hip. And as he's trying to charge after him, he tackles the shooter, and they roll around the ground like a movie. The gun gets kicked off, and my dad's, you know, wounded. He could barely fight, and the guy easily gets away, grabs the gun. My dad's trying to walk out the front door. The guy shoots him in the back of the head, murders him. Kills him. Cold blood. I'm 6 years old. And so, you know, we get that news, tragic news when I was 6 years old. My mom's crying. Not my daughter, but my sister's 4 years old.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
Watching Transformers when I get this news on my grandparents' couch when my mom's working at Winn-Dixie. And I remember growing up for those years, for about 3 years without a dad. It was hard. It was hard, but my mom did everything she could as a single mom to help us along. And I remember when I was 9 years old, she came home from Winn-Dixie one day and to cheer us up, and she surprised us with Texas Rangers tickets. And you know, I'd watch the Rangers off and on as a kid, and the Rangers were 45 minutes away from where we lived in Mineral Wells, Texas. So she picks us up after work one day and drives us to Arlington. And I was kind of an avid painter at the time. I would paint like the symbols. I painted a Texas Rangers symbol on a canvas, and I was trying to get that whole canvas signed by some of the guys. So I shot down there by the dugout during batting practice. I got 13 Rangers to sign that canvas. I fell in love with baseball right then and there. And as we're driving home, I tell my mom, I go, Mom, 9 years old, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a Major League Baseball player. And it's funny, Matt, because I knew like I knew. That's what I wanted. Nothing else I wanted to do. That was my plan A. I had no plan B.
Yep.
I said, Mom, if you give me a batting cage and a pitching machine, I'll make the big leagues one day. And first thing I do is I'll buy you a house and a car. And she goes, oh, I'll see what I can do. But I'm a Winn-Dixie, single mom. It's tough to stretch. Well, my birthday happens to be December 20th. And so December 20th that year, she walks me out blindfolded outside and undoes the blindfold and says, hey, hon, happy birthday and Merry Christmas. And it was a batting cage, fully assembled with a pitching machine.
Wow.
And I spent every day hitting 200 balls a day in that cage from when I was 9 years old till I graduated high school. And I never missed a day. And whenever I made the big leagues and got my first contract, the first thing I did was buy my mom a house and a car.
That's amazing. What an awesome story. And it's funny, like you said, at 9 years old, you knew that you knew that you knew. And people ask me the same question, like, well, when did you know you wanted to be? I was like, man, I'm 5 years old, 6 years old. I didn't, from as early on as I can remember, that's all I wanted to do. There was not a plan B. It was get to the big leagues and we're going to make it, and we had things that popped up along the way that, didn't work out for me at the time, but you never let it affect you. You just keep plugging away for the goal to get to the big leagues. So, man, that's wow. That's pretty crazy. 9 years old.
I tell people this all the time, kids all the time. And I hate when parents tell their kids this. Always have a plan B, Junior. I hate that saying.
Yeah.
It's like the worst thing you can say to somebody, I think. Have a plan A and give it everything you got, right?
Yep.
I think if you have a backup plan in your back of your mind and your subconscious, you're like, well, if this doesn't work, I always have something else.
Yeah, your parachute.
And you'll never make it that way. You've got to go all in on something. Yeah. There's a reason there's only 750 guys in Major League Baseball every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that was their plan A. If you ask every one of those guys, they didn't have a plan B. I guarantee you. There was no plan B for those guys. And to have a plan B, it's just, to me, it's an easy out. And I hate it when I hear parents, make sure you have a backup plan. Teachers tell kids, make sure you have a backup plan. No. Have your goals, have your dreams, and go for it. Life's too short not to go for your dreams. What's your plan B going to be? Work for somebody else and working for somebody the rest of your life and doing a job you hate? No, thanks.
Yeah. And the thing about baseball that's unique is that even if you are an amazing ball player, probably done at 35, 36 years old, 37 maybe. Dude, you got a lot of life to live. Like, that's when you can start working on your plan B.
Right.
Play the big leagues, get done with it, and then go like you're doing right now. You've got the acting, you got the book you wrote, you got the coffee. Is that right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. I'm a big coffee guy.
Yeah. Is that right? So while we were writing the book, I'm not smart enough to write a book, right? It's my story, but I have a guy that's helped me. His name's Stephen Casser. And as he's got a really good friend who's a gringo who lives in Guatemala. And when you write a book, bro, it took about a year and a half. And so me and him would get together almost daily writing this book. And we drink a lot of coffee. And I got tired of drinking Starbucks, man. I was so sick of Starbucks, I wanted to vomit.
Yeah. It's bitter coffee.
And I would I'm starting to get headaches on this stuff. And it seemed like just cancer in a cup, right? So we happened to be talking to Tim, his buddy who lives in Guatemala, one day, and talking about coffee. He goes, well, I got a great plant up here that I was introduced to about a month ago. I'll send you guys some samples of this coffee. These farmers haven't been able to sell to anybody in years because their plant is down and they don't have the money to get it up and running. So he sent me some older samples of the coffee, and it was fantastic. It was unbelievable. We thought to ourselves, so let's go down there and check this plant out, see if we can get it online, and maybe we can help the farmers out and get them fair trade on their coffee and maybe turn a little profit ourselves. Nothing big.
Yeah.
And so it's up and running right now. We've got it going over the last year. The farmers are paid, they're happy, and we're just getting our first picks. This is our first picking season, and sold our first 200,000 pounds of coffee.
200,000 pounds?
Coffee.
I mean, to me, that seems like a lot, right? Is that a lot, or is that
a lot of coffee, bro? And this plantation has the capability to do 4 million pounds of coffee.
Oh my gosh!
So our first, just to give you an idea, 200,000 pounds. We did about 1.2 million, but a lot of that goes to the farmers. A lot of that goes to getting the beans roasted and shipped, and so you turn you turn a little profit, but it's not as lucrative as it sounds.
Yeah.
That's once we get it up and running, get more of the machinery working down there, more coffee picked, then you start turning a little bit more of a profit, and then we can start hiring more people. So it's exciting, man. It's the first year, and the first year of anything is you're learning a lot, man. And
yeah,
I just used to drink whatever they had in the clubhouse, man. Didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Drinking really good coffee, you start realizing, wait, there's something to these coffee snobs. They're onto something, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a real difference between good stuff and blended crap that they serve you all over these, coffee shops all over America.
Yeah. So you make your first sale in that. Who is the sale to? Are you allowed to share that with us? Or do you not want to?
It's a company down in Guatemala that bought it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but we've got a couple big. It hasn't happened yet, so I don't want to say it. But
yep, that's fine.
That we're looking at right now.
That's awesome.
One of them being a cruise line, which would be pretty big.
That would be really big.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's hard to find good coffee. I mean, most of the stuff I do is espresso. And, my wife will make coffee in the morning. So like espresso we'll have in the afternoon, coffee in the morning type deal. But the last batch of stuff I bought from a place out in Dallas, I just was like, oh, it just definitely wasn't good. I was like, man, you could just tell like you can tell when you've got good coffee or good espresso versus bad stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not bored anymore. I got a lot going on right
now. I see that. That's awesome though. I mean, I think that's good, man. You worked your butt off, for a long time with baseball, and now you have the opportunity and the freedom to be able to go out and do those things and just kind of try your hand at different things. And if something works, hey, awesome. But
I did a sports talk radio circuit for about 4 months in San Francisco, where I was at 95.7 the game, and holy crap, dude, it was a 6 to 10 morning show, and I would have to get up at 4 a.m. and talk about the same crap every single day, and it just was not my cup of tea, man. I did some network marketing for a year and a half, 2 years, and it was fine. I think your wife does that in a way, right?
She does she does Beachbody. Yep.
And I think it's a great business model. I really do.
Yeah.
But you're spending a ton of time on the phone, and
oh yeah.
And it just wasn't my deal. And but I think it's a great model for people that are looking to work from home and make some extra cash. But you just don't know what you really like when you get out of the big leagues. You've never tried anything else. And until you do it, you don't know if you're going to like it or not. And I've really enjoyed the whole coffee venture, the acting thing. And I'm sticking with those two. And, obviously family first, my faith and my family's first, and nothing's going to get in the way of that. But but you got to have a career. You got to have something, like you said earlier, man. If you're lucky, you play to your 40.
Yeah.
You got half your life left. You just can't sit around and, especially as a male, man, we're supposed to be hunter and gatherers, right? And provide. Yeah. When we don't have that, we feel like a castrated lion.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. I mean, I know guys, if people ask me, oh, you played in the big leagues, didn't you? I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, I didn't play a long time, but it's like, even if I did play a long time, I got to go out and do something. I can't just sit around and do nothing. You start losing your self-worth, your identity. And now you're like, well, if I don't have those, what good am I? And so, no, it's really awesome what you're doing. I've got a friend who, I believe you're a big Transformers guy.
Huge. Yeah.
So buddy of mine, Remy Adeleke, San Diego guy. He Navy SEAL guy, but he was in the last Transformers. I don't think his role was super big, but it was big enough to where it's kind of catapulted him into a few other things. He's got like a jockey commercial, and he's just signed a book deal. But it was interesting. This guy got out of the SEALs, or kind of was still in there, but not deployed or anything. But he was like an evangelist, man. And he was down. He come down to Tampa and spoke to our men's group and stuff for our men's weekend. Awesome speaker, knows the word. And we were talking probably a couple months after that. He's like, man, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. And we're just not getting enough money, raising enough money for this to make sense. He had a couple kids and stuff. And somehow between then and getting hooked in with the Transformers, I mean, it was like this year, 6 months to a year, and his life is completely changed. He got in that movie, and then it's just, kind of his career skyrocketed.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, you never know with like, again, with you, the acting, you do a great job here, there, and just like baseball.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man, I'm not trying to win an Oscar or nothing, but I think, I want to be busy, man. And
yeah.
I think a lot of times for guys that like us have been go our whole life, and it instantly shuts off like that, it's hard to deal with that, man. I actually got anxiety when I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? Like I would sit in my house with nobody around, dead quiet, and I would start freaking out.
Yeah.
You get me in a situation where there's high stress, I'm great. So it doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So I need adventure, man. I need people don't like change. I love change. I love different things, and I think as an ex-athlete, and you just got to keep doing things that make you feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only way I think you actually grow as a human being, if you're doing things that are uncomfortable. Nah, you're just complacent, man. That's boring to me, and that's not my type of life.
Yeah, definitely. So you touched on a little bit about, your painting. Do you still paint? I think I've seen you still paint a little bit, right?
I do a lot of superhero stuff.
Yeah.
It's mostly pop arty kind of stuff, but I love it, man. I mean, I love doing it whenever. It's kind of seasonal for me. Like, I'll love it for a season, and then I'll hate it for a season, right? But recently,
sounds like baseball.
Right. Up and down. But I'd done not a Derek Jeter, but I did a Captain America one once, and I actually sent it to Derek Jeter up in New York, and he signed it for me and sent it back, and put
that's awesome.
Put the captain under it. Painted one that was Thor, and I had Noah Syndergaard sign it.
Yep.
And then another one, Iron Man, for Cal Ripken, had him sign that one too. So actually, I got one. Here you go. Yeah, this one's my Spider-Man I did.
Man, that's incredible.
I know this is a podcast, you can't see it, but I'm showing Matt here. And I got Torrey Hunter to sign it and put 9 gold gloves on the bottom.
That is awesome, man.
So that's my geeky little hobby.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool, man. That's incredible. I'm so not artistic. I'm lucky if I can color in between the lines.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you do that. Have you always painted?
Well, if you remember my story when I was younger, we were going to the Ranger game, that little canvas. I painted a Texas Rangers emblem there, and they all signed it. So. And
you just kind of kept doing it throughout.
Doing it since I was a kid.
How about that, man? My daughter, she likes painting and art stuff, and we're like, where did you get that? Like, because my wife and I are, neither one of us are like artistic in any way.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your book for the people that maybe tell us the name, and then tell us what's inside there. Maybe some of the listeners haven't read it yet, and then where can they pick that book up at?
Yeah, it's called Baseball Junkie, and you can pick it up right now. It's only available on Amazon.
Okay.
Grab it on Amazon, I wanted to write the book to kind of journey my life in baseball. It started out, with my anxiety in 2012, finishing off my career. And I was going to therapists even through 2013 and 14 through my retirement. And my therapist said, man, you got to start journaling your life down. Just journal. Get in there. And I started journaling my life, and I started realizing as I'm doing this, man, this is pretty interesting. Maybe I can inspire some people and write about my journey. And so I got with my buddy Steven, started writing it. And, in it, I chronicle my anxiety and my depression, my suicidal thoughts, my addiction to Adderall, which we haven't touched on yet. I mean, 2009, I got addicted big time to Adderall in baseball. And I was pushing probably 60 to 100 milligrams of Adderall during the playoffs.
A day?
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
How'd you ever sleep?
12-pack of beer.
God.
And after that, it's crazy because in the book, I write about this, man. I mean, I'm a World Series champion, and then that offseason, I'm in rehab that offseason.
Man.
Yeah, so, it chronicles my dad's murder, growing up without a father. So there's a lot of layers of the book. And at the end, it's about, overcoming a lot of your demons. And for me, finding my faith in Christ and becoming a better man and through all my struggles and all my hurts and pains and the people I hurt. So it's pretty, I don't hold back. It's pretty transparent.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if you're out there, go check it out on Amazon, Baseball Junkie. Sounds like a great book, man. And just, I think shares what it's really like to be maybe a big leaguer. And I think people have a perspective of big leaguers that their life is perfect and they've got everything kind of figured out because they've reached this pinnacle of their career or the highest level of the sport. And, it's not accurate. We all struggle with different things. And so for you to be able to share that, I think other kids or parents or coaches to be able to dive into that and read about some of those struggles, I think, it's definitely going to be helpful for a lot of people.
I want high school kids and college kids more than anybody to read this book. And I want them to understand the dangers of this Adderall stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids are popping this pill like a study drug, right? And you're reading more and more every day about these kids committing suicide on them. I got to tell you, man, it's so weird because you get this unbelievable high off it, but when you come down off it, it's the most miserable low you could ever have. So you're constantly playing these swings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just it's not a good place to be. And I think when you have a young mind like college kids and high school kids, it's hard to handle that kind of swing. And it's a very dangerous thing,
Yeah.
I want them to read and just understand what they're putting in their body.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors are prescribing this stuff to 6-year-olds, which is
crazy.
It's insanity to me that parents haven't done I would like to see parents educate themselves more on this Adderall, all the stuff that they're prescribing kids before okay, go ahead. Do some research into it because it's a dangerous addictive drug.
Yeah, it's not I remember guys in AA cracking it up and snorting it.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing, man? And he was just saying it gets in his bloodstream faster, I guess. And I was like, hey, all right. Well, but it's just that's like you said, it's a dangerous, slippery slope there. So a couple other questions I got for you, man. So what do you think about the baseballs? Do you think they're juiced?
Well, I don't know, man. After watching that series, it was pretty impressive, wasn't it?
Oh my God. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Hitting's not that easy.
No.
Especially in the playoffs, man. And these guys were launching balls that was like it was PC. I just felt like every guy up was going to hit a double or a homer.
Yeah.
I feel like nobody could get anybody out. And I don't think they're necessarily I know during home run derbies, they wind those balls tighter.
Yeah.
Slicker. They even use cork bats. I mean, let's be honest. They want to put on a show in home run derby, right?
Yep.
Now, I don't think they're doing that per se during the World Series. They may wind them a tad tighter, this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was like it would be in a home run derby, but there was something going on, and I can't put my finger on it because it's not that easy. It really is.
Well, I mean, you got guys that are 5'8", hitting 30 homers.
Altuve, are you kidding me? This guy's – I mean, he's got a beautiful swing.
Yeah.
But my goodness, he's hitting tanks like I could pull him.
I know. I mean, when you look at the little who's the second baseman utility kind of guy for the Indians?
Not
Kipnis. He was an all-star this year. He's a little Latin ball player.
I don't know, man. I don't watch a whole hell of a lot of him.
I can't remember his name, but I think he hit like 28 homers. And seriously, he's probably just as big as Altuve.
Really?
Yeah. He might be a little taller, but he's a good ball player. But I'm like, God, and Cleveland's not an easy ballpark to hit homers in.
Remember how whenever you had the Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire's, these guys were just launching very much. They're launching 70 a year.
Yeah.
And then it went down dramatically, really quickly.
Yeah.
It stayed like that for a long time. Now all of a sudden it's back up again. Like this year was shattered the Major League home run record by a long shot.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere. That there was no steady decline or an incline. It was just an instant boom.
Yeah.
What happened? You know, something's not stirring the Kool-Aid. I don't know.
I agree. I'm like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, I don't know. So who is your, what was your best moment in baseball?
Oh man. I mean, obviously the 2010 World Series, man, was, you play your whole life to get there, and, the lucky few get to win one.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was lucky enough to be in a Giants clubhouse every day, and you have the likes of like Willie Mays coming through every day, Willie McCovey. These guys are legends, way better ball player than I ever was.
Yeah.
All of them, right? And here I am with a World Series ring, and these guys never won one.
Mm.
So to be able to say that you're a World Series champion, that's a pretty cool thing to say, man. That's something nobody can ever take away from me.
That's it.
But at the same time, Matt, I got to tell you, bro, 4 years later after I won my first one, I'm in my closet with a gun in my hand, right? So it doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, it's just you cherish the memories, and it's not that destination, man, that makes you happy. It's that journey. And that journey, I loved every bit of it. My rings are actually in my safe, and I hardly ever wear them, hardly ever.
Yeah.
So, for everybody chasing the money and the material wealth and cars and houses, I'm going to tell you, man, that stuff's never going to make you happy. Ever, ever, ever. You got to find happiness, in your family, yourself, your faith. Everything you have to be happy is all around you right now. I mean, people say, I'm going to be happy when I get this. I'm going to be happy when I get that. Well, man, I'm telling you, when you're happy first, those things will come,
Great point.
We live in such a backwards world, man. And it took me 40 years of life to figure that out,
But you figured it out, man. And, now you can share that with a lot of players and, kids as your sons grow up and watching them play and coaching those guys. I mean, you'll be able to share those stories with them and help them through that journey.
That's right.
Right. Well, man, I really appreciate the time that you took to hop on this. The last thing I want to ask is, where can we get the coffee? Can we order it anywhere in particular, or is that kind of on hold right now?
We're basically selling in big volume to big companies right now. So we're kind of import-exporter type of thing.
Got it.
But we are setting up a website that's coming up soon. We don't have it operational yet.
Okay.
But once it's up, I'll let you know. But
yeah, man, I think that would be great. And I know our listeners would be drinking a lot of coffee. What's that?
This podcast in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. They got so the name of it is Volcan de Fuego.
Yeah, Volcan de Fuego. This coffee is grown on the side of an active volcano in Guatemala, and weekly, this is one of the most active volcanoes on Earth. And pretty much weekly, it gets spewed off, and the ash comes down into the soil. So it's volcanic, nutrient-rich ash. into the soil, which makes it unbelievable. The taste is fantastic.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to get some of that one of these days. Man, I really, really enjoyed our conversation. I really think it's going to be impactful for a lot of people when they listen to it. And, again, grateful for this opportunity.
You got it, man. Hey, man, anytime, buddy.
I appreciate it, Huff. Have a good one, buddy.
You too, pal.